Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifted. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect child. They just started doing line as soon as I came out here. Let me see if I can hook up this mic. Hold on one second. Because I see they trying to be funny. Hold on. See if this will work. Hope you guys are having a great day. Y'all know what we're here for. I won't be here very long because, as you see, I'm in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Hold on. We'll see if they turn it back on. So anyway, I need y'all to hit the like button, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Somebody mentioned something about inner city press. I did see that they had stopped tweeting. So somebody tell me what was up with that. What's going on with inner city press? I ain't never used this before. Girl, it is hot, Joy. Jesus. Let me see. I might have to change some settings or something. Let me see. Audio. Uh, hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Sherry said I heard he was kicked out or had. Let me know if you can hear me. Yes, cool, cool, cool. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you. So yeah, so y'all know what's up. You guys probably know more than I do. So in the beginning, as predicted, there were some motions that were filed and were discussed today. One of the motions was the motion for mistrial. I told you all that I highly doubt. Actually, I said it was going to be denied on the last one, but I was trying to be a little bit more, hopeful for some of y'all. But the judge did deny the motion for a mistrial, but did make some interesting statements, like talked about the Perry Mason moment that Miss Westmoreland had, I think is what he referred to it as, and was like, why you don't just take your huge moment that you just got against the government and be fine with that? And everybody was laughing. Because she has a job to do. And yeah, Westmoreland did a good job, but if they feel like it should be a mistrial, then of course they're going to request one. Then also, you guys are funny. You said you can hear me both ways. Okay, the only reason why I did this is because when you have the internal mic, the internal mic, I didn't know if them cutting this lawnmower on off and on is going to affect it. So yeah, so that was the beginning. You guys know Jane Doe is on the stand for cross. You have Tenny Garagos who is doing the cross. They said Mark Garagos is actually in the courtroom as well. Now there is another person who is also tweeting out information. Remember, I told you all that lawyers are allowed to have phones in the courtroom. And so it looks like there is somebody who is a lawyer who is giving synopsises as well. Um, and so I am going to go, I think they're called Gen Just Law. So we're going to use our information from them, give them a follow over there because they came through in the clutch because apparently something is going on with Inner City Press. So thank you, James. I appreciate all of that. So I started out with Inner City Press, and honestly, I started looking at what the other platform was saying, the Gen Just, and I was like, they were a little bit more. Now, Inner City Press to do AUSA question answer, and I like that. And this platform, they're actually just kind of doing synopsis with some quotes. So we're going to. That's what we about to do right now. Okay. Let's see. So shout out to them. So this is them. So this is apparently one of the photos that one of the sketches. Another interesting thing, Diddy complained about how he's looking in these sketches. So he went to the sketch artist allegedly and said, "Can you stop making me look like a koala bear? Can you please, take your time, get some of them." Apparently he doesn't know what a sketch is. Okay, a sketch is to kind of just that gives you a little general look or whatever, but it's not really a portrait. Diddy, it's not a portrait, it's not you on the red carpet, boo. It's just what you looking like so we can have a idea of what the scenery is, because obviously you can't have cameras. All right, so relax. Okay, you got bigger fish to fry. The least, Shauna, the least of his worries. Okay. Apparently they went over there and oh, hold on. Oh, okay. Because technically, I'm kind of working, but not really. Because so what happened, for those of you that follow me with the Ernest Williams case, you can go into my membership if you are a member to find out. But I went to Georgia so that I can go to a hearing there, and it ended up being rescheduled. And so because I've done so many Georgia trips that have been just like not what it was supposed to be, even though I enjoy visiting family and all of that, um, we were like, well, the baby's out of school, so let's just go to Florida. So this is such a random trip, but I'm going to take advantage of it. Okay. But I'm still going to answer the phone and all of that, or I have to check messages because this is not planned. If it was planned, and I probably would have blocked off time, wouldn't have done anything on Zoom and all of that, but it's just not planned. I ain't even bring enough clothes for all of this. I'm going to have to go shopping. All right. So when you guys see me in a bunch of Mickey Mouse shirts, because I'm not spending a whole lot of money. If you guys see me in some Mickey Mouse shirts and some Mickey Mouse ears, it's because I just needed something clean to wear. All right. So don't judge me. But I'm still gonna come on here. All right. And make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. All right. Okay. You get me, said I was gonna say, is that a palm tree? Yeah, girl. Random. My life is random sometimes. Gotta do what you gotta do. But I don't want y'all talking about me because you know how y'all do. Don't turn me into a meme with my little Mickey Mouse shirt on. Cause I'm stopping at all of the shops that say $5 t-shirts. $5 t-shirts. If y'all want me to pick up you a $5 t-shirt, just let me know because I'll pick you up one too. But just don't judge me. I just, one outfit. That's all. I was supposed to do a turnaround trip. So, and then I was like, should I go shopping? No, absolutely not. I'm not adding no weight to my luggage. So I have a couple t-shirts. Heck, I might leave them while I'm here, but I got to put something clean on every day. Um, Evelyn said, I know you can buy these sketches, but I like to know how much they cost. So that's the interesting part too. Like most attorneys that I know personally, like when you go into their offices, if you are in trial, there's a sketch artist that has been there they're not there for every case, but they kind of the important ones, quote unquote, or the ones that may make precedent or news or press type cases. And so it's a big deal when they sketch you and you do get them, and you get them you get them framed, because that's really the only pictures you're going to have of you being in federal court, is because you can't video or audio or any of that. So I'm in Florida, sis. I'm in Florida. You said go to Ross. No, I just saw up the little strip place or whatever. They had like $5. I'm need the $5 shirts. Okay, is Ross $4.99? Call me, darling. Hmm. Huh? I right outside of Orlando, but I'm not in Orlando. No. You said during jury selection, a CC said Nesta was looking like a koala. Nesta? 2 weeks later, he mouthed to her in the courtroom, "I know you." You must be. You mean Diddy? You must have meant Diddy, Shabby. I sure am. Oh, hold on. The internet is tripping. I might have to put it on my phone. Hold on one second. I'm out here struggling. I better hurry up and get this done before the internet don't work at all. Oh, it just went back. Sure, we have small talked enough. So this is week 5, June. To remember, the prosecution said that they were going to not take initially thought. So I'm believing next week might be their last week. So again, they start out talking about all the motions. The motion for a mistrial was denied, but they may do maybe a curative just instruction or something. I don't know what the judge is going to phrase. You heard that so and so was dishonest. Like I don't know what instruction, but I'll be curious to see what it is. If you're in my membership, you also know the defense has filed proposed jury instructions or charging instructions, of which they will probably go back and forth about, and they've added a few jury instructions that they want added. One of them is about the RICO and the statute of limitation on RICO, which nobody has really reported on. And then you also have the typical one about your client does not have to testify. That only comes in obviously if he chooses to not testify. Usually, and they have to let them know the defendant didn't testify doesn't mean that they're guilty or they believe, or that whatever reasoning, but you can't hold that against them because honestly, it's not the defendant's burden of proof. It's the government that has to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. So they did add that jury instruction. They also added a jury instruction about, you know what? Let me see. I'm going to read it to y'all. See, this is what I do. I get on here and then I do everything but what I'm supposed to be doing. All right. And then I'm on here for 3 hours when I say I'm going to be on here for 1. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Okay, so these were the proposed jury instructions, right? That was added to it. So they say, let's do the intro. Defendant Sean Combs, through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully submits these additional requests to charge the jury. Mr. Combs respectfully reserves the right to supplement or amend his request to charge in response to the government's request in light of the evidence as it is presented at trial, as well as any proposed charge furnished by the court. Immunized witnesses. They want the jury to be charged with this. You have heard the testimony of a witness who has testified under a grant of immunity from this court. What this means is that the testimony of the witness may not be used against him in any criminal case except a prosecution for perjury, giving false statement, or otherwise failing to comply with the immunity order of this court. You are instructed that the government is entitled to call as a witness a person who has been granted immunity by order of this court, and that you may convict a defendant on the basis of such witnesses' testimony alone if you find testimony proves the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. However, the testimony of a witness has been granted immunity should be examined by you with greater care than the testimony of an ordinary witness. You should scrutinize it closely to determine whether or not it is colored in such a way to replace guilt upon the defendant in order to Further, the witness's own interest for such a witness confronted with the realization that he can win his own freedom by helping to convict another has a motive to falsify his testimony. And we know there were a number of them that were granted immunity. Such testimony should be scrutinized by you with great care, and you should act upon it with caution. If you believe it to be true and determined to accept the testimony, you may give it such weight, if any, as you believe it deserves. Okay, specific investigative technique was another proposed jury instruction. Use of evidence obtained pursuant to search and seizures was another request. Defendant's testimony requested only if he testifies. So this is if he testifies. The defendant in a criminal case never has any duty to testify or come forward with any evidence. This is because, as I have told you, the burden government at all times, and the defendant is presumed innocent. That burden remains that the government throughout the entire trial and never shifts to a defendant. A defendant is never required to prove that he is innocent. In this case, the defendant did testify and he was subject to cross examination like any other witness. You should examine and evaluate his testimony just as you would the testimony. So, this is if Diddy chooses to testify. Then this is if he chooses not to testify. Under the Constitution, he doesn't have to. Voluntary intoxication. We heard a lot of intoxication throughout these testimonies. And they say intoxication or drunkenness in itself is not a legal defense to a criminal charge. However, intoxication or drunkenness may negate the existence of the defendant's intent to commit the crime that the government must prove in order to convict. On the evidence before you, if you find that the defendant was intoxicated, you may conclude that the defendant did not have the required intent I described earlier. On the other hand, even if you believe that the defendant was intoxicated to some degree, you still may conclude that he was capable of having the required intent. After considering all the evidence, if you find that the government has established each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt, then you may find the defendant guilty. On the other hand, if you find the government has failed to meet this burden beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. That's not a choice. If you feel like they have not proven each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt, you must. This is why I tell people that just because you have an underlying predicate of all these alleged crimes, people are like, they prove arson, they prove this, they prove that, they prove it. That's just one of the elements when you have a RICO conspiracy case. You have to prove each element. Bulk cash. There's been evidence presented regarding large quantities of cash. There is nothing unlawful about possessing large amounts of cash, and it is not a crime to keep large amounts of cash. Crimes defined by statutes only. This is an important one. The fact that you may think certain conduct is unethical or morally wrong is truly of no consequence in this here case. Statutes enacted by Congress define our crimes, and I will talk to you about the relevant statutes here and how they break down into essential elements so that you can consider the elements that the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Conduct is only a crime if it is defined as such by a statute. A feeling that something wrong has been done is insufficient to convict anyone of any charge. Not every instance of unfairness constitutes a crime. Instead, you are required to break the charges in this case down to their elements. Determine if the government has or has not met its burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt as to each of those elements, and then with the determination made, render a verdict. RICO statute of limitation. Count one has a 5-year, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, statute of limitations. Therefore, you must determine whether the RICO conspiracy charged in count one and the defendant's participation in the charged conspiracy continue beyond September 12, 2019. Even if you find that the charged enterprise existed beyond that date, you must be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant knowingly participated in the charged RICO conspiracy in count one beyond September 12, 2019. A conspiracy ends when the purpose of the conspiracy have either been accomplished or abandoned, usually evidenced by the last overt act. A co-conspirator ceases to participate in the conspiracy if he or she withdraws and disassociates from it. So those are the proposed jury instructions to be added that the defendant is requesting be added. Of course, ultimately it's going to be up to the judge. So let's get into um today's here information. So the mistrial was denied. There were also, remember, the prosecutors wanted to recall that witness Don Hughes, who was the expert. The judge has denied the prosecutor's response. I'm sorry, the prosecutor's request to recall. So that has been denied. Also, I believe Diddy's team wanted to did submitted a motion to basically exclude the notes from Jane Doe. Because remember, she was like, she started taking notes. She was talking to herself about how she felt. Some of the stuff she sent to Diddy, some of the stuff she kept to herself. And the prosecution said it goes to her state of mind at that moment. So it's not hearsay. And so the judge is gonna allow it to said it was admissible. So then this person goes on to talk about the atmosphere outside the courtroom is being calm and unhurried. U.S. Marshals guarding the federal courthouse recognize many regular spectators by sight. Visitors are added to a list, then escorted in groups of 7 to the top floor after passing through rigorous airport-like security checks. Only those on the list are permitted to enter the courtroom. Interesting. Diddy, they say his appearance, for those that care how Diddy was looking after 9 months in jail, Diddy's appearance has noticeably changed. His hair has started to gray and he's lost a significant amount of weight. So Diddy ain't eating too much. You know, some people come out bigger like Young Thug and some come out smaller. Today he's been allowed to wear his own clothes instead of the standard jumpsuit, a light colored long sleeve shirt, matching trousers and glasses. I mean, during trial, you don't wear your jumpsuits because it obviously is prejudicial. There are plenty of case law for that. At the defense table, he's focused on sorting through documents and shifting a box of tissues around. So essentially, Diddy is the lead counsel in his case. All right. He knows all of the proclivities and activities behind the scene, and he is really the head of this. Next to him should be Nicole Westmoreland. Y'all know how I feel about that. But nonetheless, she just came on about 2 weeks before the trial. So I also understand why the attorneys have been on from the beginning, and Agnifilo has been on even before he was arrested. So the jury is back in the room. Okay. They come in for her fourth day on the stand, her being Jane Doe. Y'all don't put no names in this here chat. Don't mention her alleged baby daddy. I don't want none of that. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, because I would hate to block it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, defense attorney is Tenny Garrigo. She's beginning to cross show. So the first star, and the way they have this broken down is like titles, so lawyer like. We're gonna put you in the different subheadings and all of that, so you know where we're going with this. So, meeting Diddy, defense attorney Tenny Garagos began cross-examining Jane, confirming they had met multiple times. So apparently they met multiple times. Meeting Diddy, Jane admitted she ceased communication with the defense in April prior to the trial and felt no pressure from them. She also confirmed that her attorney, whose fees are paid by Diddy, is representing her effectively despite the payment arrangement. Jane testified she has not seen or spoken to Diddy since before his arrest last year. So once he was arrested, she ain't talked to him no more. Emotional pressure and regret. That's the title of this here one. Defense attorney Tenny Garagos asked Jane if she regretted many of the choices she made during her relationship with Diddy. Quote, I resent him for leading me to the lifestyle he led me to. End quote. That's what Jane testified. And I would have been like, is that a yes or a no? Because I asked you a yes or no question, but she turned that into an open-ended question. Garagos pushed back, suggesting Jane had chosen that lifestyle. Quote, she says, this is Jane. My choices were made under a lot of emotional pressure, she replied. Jane told the jury she was, quote, hooked from the start, but didn't understand, quote, the terms and conditions of what our relationship would be like, end quote. She says under cross examination, Jane testified that she resents, quote, the way that Diddy went about introducing me to this lifestyle that was built under a lot of emotional manipulation and pressure. But she also admitted, I still love him. My man, my man, my man. I still love him, even though I regret everything except probably the money. So then defense attorney says Garrigo said walk Jane through the routine that followed a hotel night. The term she used for drug fueled actual encounters involving a male entertainer. Jane said she was naturally nurturing and loved caring for Diddy afterwards. Quote, yes, he was my baby. Jane described how she give Diddy foot massages. She'd feed him. She'd bathe him and put on his favorite show, which was Dateline, until he fell asleep. She testified that she endured the hotel nights just to have those moments together afterwards. I'm just telling y'all what she's saying. That's it. You know what? This lady, 35 years old, been passed around from. We don't know who she is. Oh, yeah, she did say she was 35 in here. I'll take that back. She did acknowledge her age later on. Okay. Something really special is the title of this one. I love they tweeting. You know what I'm saying? Jane testified that she didn't want Diddy to feel judged during the hotel nights because it was a vulnerable moment. I felt that my partner was trusting me in a very vulnerable moment. And well, so he made me believe that this was something very special. This was something only he and I did. And I really took that on very strongly. So she thought she was special that her man had her sleeping with other men. So yeah, I want for all of the people, and I know it was a lot of people that talked about Cassie and she was 21 and 22. I want y'all to tell me the si That's why I asked you guys. I said, okay, we get it. You're saying she's 21 or 22. He groomed her, is what it's being alleged. But what about the women that are in their 30s? I asked people, I said, well, what's the age cutoff? What's the age cutoff where it's your responsibility and you hold accountability for just making bad choices? Because, honey, we done all dated people that we wish we could erase it and act like it never happened. So anyway, I'm not gonna go off on a tangent because I'm for real. It's hot in the mug out here, and I don't want to pass out on this here live. I'm gonna have to jump in this pool. But she basically said Diddy made her feel like this was a part of his life, which remember, she's read the testimony of Cassie, who similarly said the same thing. She said she thought that he was introducing her to something that was so personal, it made her feel closer to him that he would introduce her to that. So I don't know how authentic this answer is, but that I do know is that that is no way or shape or form showing you're so special because I'm going to use your body, you a person I'm with and I care about, but I'm going to use your body in order to have X with other men. That is just what about that makes you feel special? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's a good poolside with Pam. That sounds good. I don't know, Miss Lady. I don't. Apparently, they have psychologists that explains everything away. No, I should have brought my little fan out here. That's what I should have done. But let's go on here. So she didn't want to judge Diddy because that was a vulnerable moment of him that he was sharing with her because she thought she was special, something really special. Jane believed that while they were together, she was the only woman Diddy was having hotel nights with. She testified that she would check his phone messages to make sure. She said she felt, quote, love, because we experienced these things together and because they were really special to him. But Jane added, quote, as time went on, it was very conflicting for me internally because I'm breaking all of my own boundaries just to make him feel extremely loved. She said, asked directly if she still loves Diddy, Jane told the court, yes, I do. Under cross, she also confirmed she wanted to be close to him emotionally and physically. She said she enjoyed taking care of him after hotel nights, naming Dateline as one of the favorite shows. Jane said she felt like her partner was trusting her in a vulnerable moment. She testified that he made her believe it was something special just between them and that she didn't want to judge him for it. Jane testified that Diddy's expressions of love and affection were the sole reason she participated in hotel nights, her term for evenings when Diddy observed her with ex workers. She told the court she felt trusted by Diddy during these vulnerable moments, stating, quote, I was breaking all of my own boundaries to ensure he felt loved despite the personal difficulty. Jane expressed her desire to satisfy Diddy. You think Nibber, you think she was telling her home? See, this is what I'm learning about this lady. She hung around homegirls who had celebrity significant others. So yesterday there was, and I didn't get a chance to go live yesterday because I was traveling, but yesterday there was testimony about going to Vegas and it was another rapper and she ran into the ex-worker Don because they walk in the room and Don is on there getting it in with somebody when they walk into the celebrity's room with his girl and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's yeah, that's what some people are saying. And a lot of people were saying that when they left yesterday, that was the impression that they got. Yeah, she started dating him after her homegirl. So let's go on, okay? Because apparently they're still cutting the grass, okay? Um, Jane testified that Diddy's expressions of love and affection were the sole reason why she participated in the hotel nights. Her time for evenings when Diddy observed her with ex-workers. So basically, Diddy, after it was all over with, he loved on her, and he was just like, I can't believe you would do all this for my baby. You're my world. I can't believe you did this, and was all sweet talking her and stuff. Meanwhile, while she's the one that's putting in all of the work, Meanwhile, it looks like I know he playing. I thought he said he was about to jump off this little here balcony. I was about to say, I'm about to get off of here because I don't want to be a witness to nothing. But anyway, so but after the fact, after you put in all this work, you massaging them, cooking for them, and doing all this stuff. You look like you putting in work, but I guess he was so tired he couldn't do nothing but sleep next to her. So she was okay with that. She told the court she felt trusted by Diddy during these vulnerable moments, stating, quote, I was breaking all of my own boundaries to ensure he felt loved. Okay, I read that. Tenny Garrigo suggested Jane took ecstasy voluntarily during a hotel night to feel uninhibited and fulfill Diddy's fantasies for hours. Jane stated, quote, my choice to take the ecstasy. I would say Mr. Diddy would offer me the ecstasy and expect me to take it. So no, he didn't force it on you, is what she's saying, but he gave it to me and he expected me to take it. So I just took it. She confirmed actual encounters with or without entertainers often involve role playing with Diddy. So the whole role playing thing wasn't just for these ex workers. It was also for this is the way Diddy. This was his kinks and his fetishes. Where even when they was just by themselves, he wanted her to play different roles. So they will role play anyway. So let's go on. That's what they're trying to say is distribution, right? Like the fact that he's given. Now, typically when it comes to distribution charges, you're getting either they found a large quantity on you. They keep talking about different pills. So they'll have manufacturing where you have large quantities or it's for money. So it sounds like he just provided party drugs for people. But again, that's an underlying predicate act. That is not the entirety of the RICO. But that is what they're trying to allege by talking about all the times Diddy paid and got the drugs and gave it to people, because they do have a distribution claim. So Diddy they're not trying to say like akin to a mafia family that perhaps he is selling drugs, which is usually an underlying for creating businesses to launder money or to wire fraud or whatever. They're basically saying that he gave it to people. So this is what I'm saying about how the government is basically trying to fit things in. When you go to these places, these animals don't care about people. Just like this bird about to peck on my leg. Okay, I'm gonna go on. So Jane testified that during hotel nights, Diddy directed her to enact a cheating fantasy with an entertainer, saying, quote, Sean left town and I'm home alone with me and whomever, and I'm sneaking in this entertainer. And it's just me and this entertainer's fantasy talking about Sean is on a phone, and I couldn't wait to get this entertainer all alone. She affirmed Diddy was aroused by giving directions to her and the entertainer during these hotel nights. These are Jane's financial ties. Jane testified that Diddy sent her money throughout their relationship, often prompted. Defense attorney asked if Diddy wired her over 150,000 total. Jane replied, quote, I never counted, but I would assume, yeah, that would be close. She noted that in 2020, before meeting Diddy, she earned income from Instagram influence and received $4,700 monthly in child support. You guys heard me right. $4,700 in child support. During their relationship, Jane says she couldn't focus on influence and felt she achieved only 10% of her earning potential. So allegedly, I think she said she made $50,000 as a social media influencer. Jane stated that in 2020, before meeting Diddy, she earned income from Instagram influencing and received, okay, this sounds like the same thing. Yeah, that's the same thing. Okay, Gary goes, ooh, asked Jane to talk about the things she loved about Sean Diddy Combs. So put my camera over there, shoot, before it burn up. Um, Jane said Combs beamed a very bright light when she met him and said, quote, I was fascinated by him. Y'all know what that was. I was fascinated. Jane also testified Combs, who she said is very motivating and encouraging, um, helped her be less shy and more confident. He would have uplifted me, Jane said. Jane also confirmed that Combs supported her dress and swimwear fashion line. He invested about 20K in her dress line, she said. Jane's positive views on Diddy. Jane confirmed about the 20K, okay? She testified, check this part out, y'all. Jane testified that Diddy introduced her to gospel music and engaged in, quote, insightful conversations about his spirituality. She noted these discussions provided, quote, a really good perspective on a lot of things. Jane added he had a favorite pastor. He had a favorite pastor, and he would put sermons on TV, and he would watch, and we would watch it together, and he would send me sermons and I would watch it on my own. How are you out here doing all of this allegedly and then being like, let's put on, baby, what you doing? Nothing. I just got out of my prayer closet and you crossed my mind. Let me tell you, this sermon really touched my soul. I was watching this man on television, and this is my spiritual advisor, and he's talking about pushing through and God got us. I'm going to give you some sermons. I want you to watch the gospel of Jesus Christ with me. I have praise and worship music over my house right now. Do you know who that is? That's John P. Key. Do you know who that is? You heard of the Winans? That's Marvin Winans. Tomorrow. I just can't even picture this scene right now, y'all. I just can't. Oh, Jesus, help me. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on. Let's go on. We don't know who the pastor is. So now we can go to Cassie's lawsuit. Cassie's lawsuit said his spiritual advisor was who he shouted out on the BET Awards when he got his award. But it don't look like they said a name, so I ain't either. Diddy's behavior. So apparently he was spiritual and he was a freak. A spiritual freak, you know? Maybe like a David and Bathsheba moment happening. He found ways in the Bible how they had concubines and was like, what I'm doing is biblical. Huh? Is that it? I need Diddy to call me collect because I got some questions. Diddy, can you call me collect? Because I just got a couple of questions. Yeah, Jules said two things can be true at the same time. I'm not saying it ain't true. I'm just saying it's conflicting. And you couldn't be putting me in no high heels and hiring men for me. And then on Sunday, you talking about some let us pray. Father God, in the name of that's just not gonna work for me. I'm gonna need you to pick a child side. This is why the Bible always say, choose this day whom you will serve. You can't be lukewarm because this is the type of shenanigans. Oh, he probably been praying real hard since he been in jail. See, a lot of people find God in jail. Why? Because at the end of the day, they feel like they ain't got nothing else. You know, you gotta love God in the good times, the bad times, when you're in green pastures, when you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You gotta love him all the way around, not just when you're in trouble. This right here is just weirdo to me. Okay, so Tracy said the Diddy watch Bishop Whitehead. That's that might line up like up this lot. Listen, maybe it was Whitehead. You know, maybe I don't know. You know, Whitehead knew everybody.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
A lady 747, I agree with you, and I'm not trying to turn this into a biblical live. However, Jesus forgives all, but repentance means turn away. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can ask for all you want to, but repentance means to turn away. It means you're not the same person. You don't do what you used to do, okay? All right. But what are you repenting for if you're gonna do it in the next week? You might as well just save your breath. That's all. Let's go on. Okay, let's go on. That is the Right Reverend Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead, for those of you that don't know who was in that video. Okay. He is currently a resident of the federal penitentiary right now. If you guys want to go look for him. All right. Okay, let's go. Diddy's behavior. Jane testified about affectionate moments in her relationship with Diddy, noting she enjoyed giving him foot rubs. She told defense attorney Tina Garagos that she and Diddy missed each other during their breakups. Diddy was observed like, yeah, I said that. See, this what got you in trouble last time, Diddy. Don't say nothing, bro. Just sit there with your stress ball, because I heard that Jane Doe got a stress bar on the ball on the stand. Get you a stress ball, and every time she just say talk to yourself. Okay. They're a little loud. I'm sorry. You know, I can't control, the environment. They're rightfully on the premises, She told defense attorney that she and Diddy missed each other during their breakups and then as she described these tender aspects. So whenever that she would say things that Diddy was all nice and comforting and sweet, he was like, see, I'm not always the monster they paint me out to be. I had some good times. I'm just a drug addict, sex addict. During cross examination, defense attorney Teeny Garagos asked Jane if she saw her father's child while visiting Diddy on the East Coast. Jane said, what does that have to do with the whole thing? I'm going to need you to leave him out of this because, shoot, So she was like, what they got to do with this? Girl, answer the question because you understand. So then it was when questioned if she chose to fly to Miami, Jane confirmed yes. I'd have been like, so are you not going to answer the question? What does that have to do with anything? I asked the questions here. So would you like me to repeat the question? Or do you want to just answer the question? I'm happy to do either way, ma'am. She would have answered that question. She may have. It may just not be in here. Jane testified that upon moving into her new home in April 2023, she believed that, quote, if we got a home that was Diddy's taste level, then we could just start at least doing hotel nights here in the privacy of our home. She affirmed that she and Diddy ensured the hotel nights remained confidential, stressing it was critical that neither the public nor Diddy's employees knew about the entertainers. Bam. So that kind of takes away the entire enterprise part of it, because how are you saying you guys all were co-conspirators and nobody really agreed because they didn't even know about it? So she's confirmed, and she was past 2019. She was past the 2019 statute of limitation that they're referring to, and forward, because that got to be 5 years, from the date he was charged. And so she's saying they did not know. Cassie also said it was a secret as well. So just because people set up rooms, I think they might have thought Diddy was just gonna get it in with his girl, whoever he was with that night. That don't mean they knew that he was allegedly ex trafficking. So that was the point of that questioning right there. Yes, I just, and then it was a few open-ended questions that I'm like, why are y'all even asking? But I have an issue with open-ended questions because all you really have is cross. So, anyways, defense attorney Teeny Garagos asked Jane if she and Diddy had conducted hotel nights at her previous apartment, to which Jane said they had. So, like I told you all, they had already been doing these hotel nights before Jane even had the house. So why are we saying the house was the reasoning to keep her from doing it? I mean, to keep her into doing it, and he held it over her head when she basically already had an apartment previously, and they were doing in her apartment that she had that Diddy wasn't paying for. So under cross examination, she testified that Diddy wired her approximately 150K during their relationship. When defense attorney Garagos asked if she gravitated towards providers, Jane replied that she ideally seeks a partner who is both a companion and a provider. So yeah, she's a gold digger way over time. Okay, so basically she just said yes, she would prefer to have someone that can take care of her. She like people with money, all right? And that was pulled out that she like people with money. Diddy is larger than life. Jane described Diddy as confident and strong and very sure of himself, with a big personality and a larger than life demeanor. Qualities she found highly attractive. She testified that his motivating and encouraging nature helped her overcome shyness when they met. Jane also admitted she struggled with self-esteem both previously and currently. Now that I can agree with, sis. There's a self-esteem struggle. And see, the thing about self-esteem, it says the word self, because you have to have it for yourself. Or people like Diddy or any other, I ain't even gonna say Diddy, somebody without money. They can see you struggle when you want to please people. And so you become prey on the predator. All right. So yeah, she has acknowledged she has self-esteem issues. You said we been knew that, sis. So yeah. Let's go on. Um Love messages after Turks and Caicos. Defense attorney, remember this was the Turks and Caicos she had been waiting on because she was jealous of everybody else. And so he took her to Turks and Caicos and then said, surprise. And there was a worker, okay, that was there. And she said she got so mad and she threw the bracelet that he bought her and she stomped away because this was her makeup for her birthday trip because she got mad at the birthday celebration he did for another one of his girls. And it was all over the Instagram. So the defense attorney presented text and audio from March 2023 between Jane and Diddy, sent after Turks and Caicos trip, where Jane said Diddy unexpectedly introduced an entertainer in hotel night, sparking an argument that strained the relationship for days. The jury reviewed affectionate text and voice notes where both expressed enjoyment of the trip. In Diddy's voice note, he declared his love for Jane and referenced her quote contract, which Jane clarified was a love contract they had recently agreed upon, resulting in Diddy renting a $10,000 per month home for her. So basically, after the Turks and Caicos, it sounds like the whole love contract came in where he was trying to confirm her and I guess make her feel like she was more than just a Tatiana as she was feeling. So you're not just a hoe, like you're saying yesterday. I really care about you. And to prove it, I'm willing to do a love contract to let you know you taken care of with this 10K to cover whatever you won't cover for an amount not exceeding 10K. So the jury heard Jane's cheerful recorded response to Diddy stating, she had a great time. I had a great time in Turks and Caicos. I love you and I feel closer to him, saying everything just feels good and I'm so happy. So after she went to Turks and Caicos, after she got the love contract for $10,000, suddenly she was more fulfilled. Okay. Okay. Hmm? You said I'm calling Bruce. Yes, it's definitely manipulation. Or it says she's just lazy. She wants someone to pay for her life. I mean, it's really giving lifestyle, and she enjoyed the lifestyle, and I think that's what they're trying to pull out of her. And again, she basically says she still love him, meaning if he got acquitted today, she would be on back on Diddy. Now, another thing that was on Inner City that I didn't see on here is, and this is something I brought up. I said she is not testifying because she really wants to, or she went to the government requesting saying a me too. What I think happened, and this is what I said, you can go back and fact check what I said. I was like, I believe she was told you either gonna testify or you gonna be sitting next to him. It was some type of language that made her feel like she didn't really have a choice. That's what I believe. Because I think she would be with this dude today. And what was pulled out is that she did get immunity before she testified in front of the grand jury. Okay. So she did get immunity before she testified in front of the grand jury. And her first time meeting with the government was January of 2025, allegedly. So, what is that telling me? That is telling me that they felt like they needed more stronger, especially with they probably were looking at the comments of YouTube and other public sources on where's the RICO, where's all this stuff at, and I think they needed something to strengthen their case. That's what I think, just my opinion. And so if you just now you indicted him back then and then you're meeting with her in January, Diddy's paying for the lawyers, as you guys know, still paying for the lawyers. And I think this is her second lawyer. And she did say she feels like she's being treated fairly. So, with her lawyer, like it's no conflict. Even though he's paying for it, he has her best interest in heart and he's really protecting her rights. He's not trying to, he wasn't hired to protect Diddy on the low. She's saying, because obviously she wouldn't be saying half the stuff she's saying because she's using a lot of buzzwords. So, yeah. Now they're raking over here. So if you hear that noise, that's what that is. He know he see me on live. Jesus. So then she feel like everything is great and she's so happy. Jane testified that she genuinely enjoyed her time with Diddy and was expressing her love for their moments together, excluding the entertainer. So when they asked her that, that was probably an open-ended question, of which they should have just said, "You enjoyed yourself, didn't you?" At Turks and Caicos. You enjoyed the time that you spent. You actually said it was great, didn't you? You said da 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 da. So that I would have just got them yeses, but to allow her an open-ended question to say, "I just meant the part with Diddy. I didn't like the one with the entertainers." She wouldn't have been able to say that on my watch. Now again, the prosecution probably would have came back up and been like, "When you say you enjoyed the time, was it to be with Diddy or was it to be with the entertainers?" Of course she'll say that. But on my watch, you just gonna answer yes to the things that I'm gonna need you to answer yes to. Okay, that's it. So let's go on. Okay, I'm really sorry for the noise, guys. He know he irritate. You literally see me on this mic, and you is raking your on the concrete though. If you don't pick them leaves up off of this ground, sir. Okay. Jane testified that in April 2023, Diddy paid $40,000 up front for her rented home, covering the security deposit, first month's rent, and last month's rent. Defense attorney Tenny Garagos noted the landlord held several months of rent payment as a buffer if Diddy stopped paying. So he not only assured her, he assured her by giving the landlord extra money. So if he missed a month, you were still covered. Okay. Okay, let's go on. And again, I like your banter back and forth in this. Oh, wait a minute. I'm like you. My laptop like, girl, if you don't get me up out of here, where's this hot? Okay. Oh, hold on. It's moving kind of slow. Oh, oh. Okay, we all right? Let me go up. Okay, here go the child support stuff. Okay. Okay. So, Tenny Garrigo suggested Diddy was willing to pay 3 additional months of Jane's rent during their breakup discussions. When asked if she believed Diddy would stop paying, Jane replied, quote, "There were some times that I definitely felt that he would do that, and he used it kind of as a little tool. The rent was always just a little reminder." Do you believe that he will stop paying? Why was that question asked? How about he had never stopped paying in the past, did he? No. You've never been behind on your bill? No. You've never got a late notice on your bill? No. In fact, he's still paying that bill today, isn't he? Yes. That'd have been it. All of the you gotta stop with this open-ended stuff. Okay, let's go on. Teeny Garagos, okay, that's the 3 additional months. Jane testified that before meeting Diddy, she earned about 50K as an influencer. She received 4,700 monthly in child support and paid her own rent. She told defense attorney Tina Garagos that she finds successful men attractive, stating, "My ideal partner is a partner and provider. She don't mess with no broke." That's what she just said. Jane said her April 2023 home lease was chosen to secure a larger space matching Diddy's quote taste level and to ensure privacy for hotel nights at home. She noted privacy became a growing concern during their relationship. Diddy ain't want nobody to know this was happening. I told y'all, ain't nothing about this making Diddy look good. If anything, we are looking at Diddy like, bro, what's really going on? So yeah. I know a lot of women and men who manipulate. That's not coercion and force. And that's not the definition of coercion and force. So what I need is for y'all, everybody in here, you may hate your Diddy's guts. And that's why they had to do the jury instruction. You know why? They're okay. Okay, no, that's fine. All right. They about to, blow. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on. Hold on one second. They about to blow. They said it's gonna be very, very noisy. I'm trying to think of I'm a when they start blowing, I'll just press the mute so you guys don't hear it. So that's the problem, is that people are equating their moralistic point of view. He's a bad person. Crimes are stated by statute. So if that's the case, everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody, I'm gonna say a lot of people need to be nervous if a lot of this stuff is considered manipulation and like, well, coercion is what it is. So hold on one second. They about to blow real quick.
And another thing you notice, the first thing they say, make sure you guys hit that like and the subscribe button. That's what it's all about. After they get them dogging you out, before they dog you out, that's the first thing they say. If you like this video, make sure you hit.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Manipulation is not a part of the statute. If that's the case, I figure a lot of men need to be next to Diddy. That's all I'm saying. Okay. This is why I pull up jury instructions or statutes. This is the very reason why. Because we can all have our opinion. And I think we're all of the opinion that Diddy is trash. And we are all of the opinion that he dates certain women that he knows were willing to do whatever for him and that love him more than he loves them. We can all agree with that. But when do you say you had a benefit to some of this because you was getting your rent paid? You said you only want a man with a couple of dollars. And you said you did it consenting because you wanted to please your man. What they're trying to allege is he basically only wanted her for that purpose and never had an intent on being with her, which is kind of backwards to me because he told everybody I'm single. He didn't say we're in a committed relationship. He didn't say, girl, going ring shopping. He didn't say we gonna get, what we about to get married next week. He said I'm single. That's why when she complained about it, and I think she later testifies to it, that's why it was such a big issue because he was like, girl, I told you what it was. But I told you on the flip side, Diddy's gonna get what he get because there is consequence to just like freedom of speech, it ain't always free. There is consequences. You can do what you want, but how people respond to it, you cannot control. So now what the government is doing is they're always trying to stretch to expand, in my opinion, certain statutes. And I think this is one of them. And so if it works for them, they can get enough bad acts and people saying manipulate. There's a lot of people that think just like how the person just was saying, isn't trafficking, manipulation, coercion, and no, it's coercion, fraud, and force. So they're going for the fraud. And if you pay attention to her testimony yesterday, she's used some buzzwords that let you know that after the Cassie lawsuit, there was a violent incident. Now, Diddy ain't been violent this whole time. And after this Cassie lawsuit, to me, it was given, now you got you a violent story. And it was right before he got arrested. It was like in 2024 or whatever. So they're trying to dismantle that this was not coercive, This was not forced. Yeah, he was a dog. He was a dirty dog, in fact. But she knew what it was because what it was professed to her initially. And again, there may be people that's on that jury because they're the only one that matter that feel just like you and say, no, he was just too manipulative. She wouldn't have never done this if she thought that this was all she was gonna get. We don't know that. She may have done this if he said, listen, I just want to use you for hotel nights, but I'll make sure your rent paid. We don't know if she would have went for that or not. But I think he's alleging they had a loving relationship and it wasn't just hotel nights, which I said that they probably were going to defend and say. Please keep running the lights up, please. Well, she says she's been in therapy for the last 3 months. So she's just now been in therapy. So that's why she responded with, I don't know if I did it of my own volition. I'm still working through it. I knew the things she was saying and the buzzwords she was using. I knew that someone told her. Remember, Cassie was the same way. She went to therapy in 2023 and they told her basically what this was, allegedly. So then Jane's rent disputes and gifts. Okay. Jane described arguing with Diddy over this use of rent payment as a tool to control her, recalling him asking, you need 3 months rent? She says she confronted him and he later sent her an unsolicited $20,000, which she used to buy nice furniture. Jane sent a grateful text calling Diddy, baby. Oh. So she told him, she would tell him, I think you're only using me for these hotel nights. No, you paying my rent to keep me with the hotel nights. They are not one and the same. Legal. Okay, I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna respond to your stuff anymore because it's just throwing me off. They're not the same. Legal definitions and your definition is not the same. It's not. Pam, don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Okay. And threw me off. I gotta stop looking. I don't know why every time I click on this chat because I'm not really looking that. Okay. Girl, stop. All right. So basically, when she felt like he wasn't about to pay her rent, and she mentioned, you're not gonna pay my rent, he sent her $20K as a cushion. You ain't gotta work. That's 2 months. Just because unsolicited, because she felt like he was using her. So she took the 20,000 and bought furniture. All right. That's what she did with her 20K. All right. I'm all right, Andrew. I just, people giving your personal opinion is cool, but when you get into legal definitions that's not true and putting that in my chat, I just be having a problem with it. Just look it up. That's all. Look up the case law. Everything that we think our words are in daily life don't necessarily mean what it means from the legal realm. There's case law defining a lot of words as to what it means because every statute does not have a definition to it. So there's case law defining it or it's a statutory definition. But anyway, so there was an unsolicited 20K. Diddy's crack pipe nickname for Jane. Whoa. What? The court heard a voicemail from Diddy nicknaming Jane, quote, crack pipe, due to the fun they had on a Turks and Caicos trip. When asked to explain, Jane said, quote, he had an addiction. In her reply, Jane said, quote, crack pipe is so real for the both of us. It's definitely mutual. I just like everything you said. I am so thankful. I had so much fun. Turks was absolutely incredible. I'm so happy. So again, this is supposed to be the trip of which she felt like she was forced and coerced because she thought she was going to Turks and Caicos and wasn't going to be nobody there. And then he allegedly called a worker. So yeah, here we go. Jane on Diddy's polyamorous lifestyle. Now we getting into the real problem. Jane testified that while getting to know Diddy in Miami, he bought her shoes, a bodega Benetta bag outside of my price range, apparently, because I don't even know how to pronounce it, and a bracelet. During the trip, Diddy disclosed his polyamorous dating lifestyle. Jane said she initially accepted it as they were early in their relationship, but struggled as her feelings deepened. I told you she started liking him or loving him way more than he liked her. Jane testified that as her feelings for Diddy grew, she found his polyamorous lifestyle challenging, stating, I was feeling my man and wanted him to be mine. She also felt Diddy treated her differently compared to his other girlfriends, perceiving an imbalance in his attention and affection, sounding real Sister Wives like for those that watch Sister Wives. So she knew what was up, but then she started falling in love with him and she didn't like him being with other women, which is why she was on his head and nagging him like, I see you on Instagram. I see you on Facebook. I seen your stories. I seen her stories. I was on my dummy page and I seen you on the shade room. I seen you taking her on a shopping spree. I see you doing this for her birthday. Why you didn't do this for me? That's where a lot of that came from. Jane testified that about 6 months to a year after she began dating Diddy, his public relationship with Young Miami became challenging for her. The conspiracy people have been saying sounds about right. Diddy, to me, I do believe it was beneficial for Diddy too, because Young Miami was what was popping at that time. I don't know if she's still popping like that or not, because these young people, but she was what was popping at that time. He met her like at Coachella, seeing her and her girl had blew up. And so he wanted to get in where he fit in. When you watch the Carisha Please podcast where he was on there, it was like brought to you by De Leon, which is his liquor company. Their relationship was trending all over social media. When she sat up there with the yay poppy pappy sign and all of that stuff at BT, which I think she said was their first date after that or whatnot, according to her podcast. I'm not saying Diddy what didn't already have, he wasn't a multi-millionaire already. I'm just saying it opens up another door in a genre. So I do believe from a media perspective, it actually helped him as well. It helped both of them. So then she said, Diddy and Young Miami's relationship appeared monogamous on social media, while Jane's relationship with Diddy remained private. Girl, it wasn't private, it was secret. I told you what the difference is. Private means people know we together, but I'm not going to let you in my business. I'm not posting every move. I'm not letting you know every argument. I'm not letting you know whenever I think I want to walk away. I'm not letting you know every time my kids graduate. I'm not letting you know every little aspect of my life. That's private. But everybody know you got a family, you have a husband, you got a boyfriend, whatever it is. Girl, you was a whole secret. There's a difference. Okay. Because Diddy said out loud that he was single. So it wasn't like he told people I'm in a monogamous relationship with Young Miami. No, he told her to her face, I'm single and dating. Okay. So Jane expressed frustration about Diddy's public relationship with Young Miami, stating, quote, it was definitely not something that I signed up for. I didn't sign up to date a man that was in a public relationship. So she was cool as long as everybody was a secret. So drug use in Turks and Caicos. Jane testified that during their first Turks and Caicos trip, she suggested Diddy attend a rehab center in Thailand after observing how drugs impacted him. On the flight, she noticed his shaky hands, off-colored eyes, teeth, and overall appearance, stating, I could tell he wasn't taking good care of himself. And them eyes, when you start looking at those pictures from back then, look at that man's eyes. That's all that's gonna be your legal homework. Go look at them pictures with Diddy's eyes. You knew something was going on. Defense attorney Tenny Garrigo suggested Jane recognized Diddy's drug addiction early on. Jane responded, in the beginning, I didn't really know how to label it. I encountered somebody that was overdoing the partying. She later noted, as our relationship continued, I noticed a very strong pattern, and I still didn't really even label it as a drug addict. I think now I would say that, but then I just would say that he was really a big party guy. So basically, she acknowledged he was a drug addict. Jane testified that toward the end of their relationship, she learned Diddy was using antidepressants. She confirmed her desire to help him stop using drugs and return to his natural form, noting that Diddy had expressed interest in ketamine therapy. So Diddy has some other mental health things going on as well. You know what? No, it really is working, Funk and Pops. What are you talking about? Y'all is so bold. Why y'all talking about that man privates like that? I don't like that. Like I really care, but all right, let me see if we got anything else over here. Okay, yeah, let me go back. I'm gonna do a little bit more and then I got to go. Yeah, I got to get out here in these Florida streets. So Jane has resumed testimony. Um, Consent. Defense's Tenny Garagos questions James to show she willingly joined Diddy's hotel nights, accepted his polyamory, and benefited from his support, aiming to frame their relationship as consensual and counter trafficking claims while highlighting Diddy's positive traits. Jane loved hotel nights and alone time. Defense attorney Tini noted Jane told prosecutors she enjoyed just about every minute with Diddy during hotel nights. Jane said during hotel nights, the portion of me and him, yes, I love that part. She's going to always try to separate to say she ain't like being with other men. Aside from the fact that it looked bad, I think it's part of what she's supposed to basically be saying that she never liked it because that's part of the whole trafficking bit, right? So Jane said during hotel nights, the portion of me and him, yes, I love that part. Enjoying 30 minutes to an hour of alone time before and after the entertainer. She cherished making love with Diddy during hotel nights, where he gave her the desired attention. Quote, he's the most affectionate during these nights. She said, adding, he was usually less affectionate. So basically, when she got done doing those hotel nights in front of these people, with these people in front of him, he was real lovey dovey. Real lovey dovey. Okay. Teeny Garagos asked Jane if Diddy's desire and her love for him drove her during hotel nights. Jane responded, yes. She testified she repeatedly told Diddy she felt uncomfortable with hotel nights as time progressed. Jane okay with hotel night videos. Jane testified she was fine with the hotel nights being recorded, as Diddy assured her the videos were private for them. Defense attorney Tenny Garagos asked if she put on a show for Diddy knowing he'd rewatch. She said yes. So she put on a show knowing he was going to look at it again. So Tenny suggested Jane enjoy rewatching hotel night videos with Diddy. Jane clarified, quote, I did not like that part, but it was just a part of the relationship, indicating she tolerated this despite her discomfort. So she really ain't like it, but she just wanted to please her partner. All right, this must be from yesterday because that's not the math ain't math in here. Hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. I'm gonna see what y'all saying over there because I'm about to get off of here. Let me see. I gotta see what happened with our boy Inner City Press because they got rumors out here, and y'all, some people be quick to kick people up out that courtroom though. I'm gonna have to do it from my room next time because baby, this is not a good idea. It's hot. My computer hot and worn out. Need a fan. See, I don't see. Did anybody get any confirmations on what happened to inner city press? Anybody? No, Mo Walker, she ain't like a lot of this stuff. Uh, oh, there was also a time too, because there were a few things I saw in inner city that I didn't see on here aside from the immunity in front of the grand jury. There was also the defense attorney said something about his her son, and she responded, could you not mention basically the gender of my child or not mention my child that way? So apparently, tired of y'all trying to guess who she is. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that was another thing. So apparently, yesterday at the end of the day, the judge said, I'm gonna need to see you all in my chambers. So they went in chambers, and then there was a motion under seal, meaning we can't see it on the docket. There was a motion under seal of which the government asked to strike juror number 6. We don't know what juror number 6 did, said. We don't know. We just don't know. And so apparently, of course, the defense is objecting to it. So I think if the government brought it, it must have been something favorable to Diddy, where either it was maybe the gestures in the court that people was thinking, maybe she messed around and had a conversation with somebody and they came to them about it, because jurors do be snitching on other jurors. Maybe they came and said, listen, I ain't seeing none of this. This is a whole waste of time. I could be at home, and now I'm here over here, having to get up and come and watch this man's whole ex-life be on display. We don't know, but whatever it is, the government didn't think it was favorable to the government, whatever they found. So the government wants them struck off. It must be more favorable to Diddy, I would assume. So I guess we'll see. Oh, so he did type he was gone. Why I ain't see that? Oh, who they said was shaking their head and making all the emotions and stuff. Oh, they saying that jury number 6 was late 3 times to court and they were nodding and looking at it. This is girls, what's that? I don't know how true it is, but this is what she's saying. I don't know. But anyway, y'all got a good hour and 20 minutes up out of your girl. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm sure it's going to be way more explosive testimony than this. She's expected to be on for the remainder of the week, at least until Thursday. So I don't think I'm going to get the transcript to all of them, but if there's anybody who is like, hey, I really want to see this part, I seen it in the tweets. I want more information on it, then I may get it. But we gonna have to be cost effective over here, okay? Especially since I'm taking random trips to Florida for no reason, okay? So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, because them transcripts are expensive. All right. And so I've been able to read through most of them, but the worst part is when it keeps going like this. It's a difference if like they take a week off and you like, oh, I get to catch up on all these transcripts. But to know that you buy them and you may not be able to go through them kind of sucks and feels like a waste of money. So if it's something y'all want, y'all let me know. Make sure you guys hit that like button. I hope you guys enjoyed the live, and please, the people on the replay, I know it has some noisy moments, okay? I know I'm outside. This is not my house. I can't control the loud people talking in the pool. I can't control the man doing the landscape. That's what they get paid to do. They were pretty kind and said, hey, we about to do this. It's going to be loud. You want to press mute or something? So that's all I can give right now. But it's hot. My computer hot. I'm hot. And I'm ready to go in. All right. So you guys make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If anything drops in the documents, I'll, as always, put them in the membership if it is something that is worth putting in there. I may go live in the membership. Y'all know, keep checking in. I may just do random videos. Who knows what's going to happen. But if she does something real explosive this afternoon, I'll probably go over that again. But until then, y'all, my computer is hot. Like touching it to scroll up and stuff is just hot. I got to get my computer out of here before I leave up out of here with too much vitamin D, too much tan, and no computer. So I'm gonna talk to y'all later. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Gotta go.